This is the Let's Go Win podcast with your host, J.M. Ryerson.
Hey, what's happening, you guys? You are in for an absolute treat today. You are going to be inspired. I think you're going to learn a lot, and we are going to support an amazing team. John and Mark X Cronin is the father-son team that created John's Crazy Socks, a social enterprise with a mission to spread happiness. They bootstrapped their business into the world's largest sock store. John is not only a business owner, but he also has Down syndrome. Every day, John and Mark show what people with differing abilities can do. More than half their colleagues have a differing ability, and they show their gratitude through their giving back program that has raised nearly $500,000 for their charity partners. Most of all, they are spreading happiness one pair of socks at a time. And guys, you look great. I love the shirts. How you guys doing today?
Great.
Thank you for having us
Thanks
on,
so
JM.
much.
We've been looking forward to this conversation.
Well, I have been looking forward to it as well. You guys have inspired me in what the little that I've got a chance. So I'm really excited to hear more about it. Let's start with kind of the origin of the story. John's Crazy Socks. Where did this even start?
Well, let's see. You have to go back a little more than 5 years ago. And our story starts in a small log cabin in the woods. No, not really. It starts in suburban Long Island outside New York City. And where were you, pal?
I was at Huntington High School. I go to be in my last year of school.
So John's in his last year of school, and like everybody else, he's trying to figure out, what do I do next? And you mentioned in your introduction that, among other things, John, you're an entrepreneur.
Yes, I am.
Now you're a public speaker,
Yes.
an advocate,
Yes, I am.
an athlete,
Yes.
a dancer.
Yes.
Now you're a sock tycoon.
Yes, I am.
And you happen to have Down syndrome.
Right.
Right? So the Down syndrome doesn't define him, and yet many people would let it do so. So John's trying to figure out what he's going to do next. And what are you looking at?
I look at job, program, and school. I don't like that. I don't like.
He didn't say anything he liked. And that, unfortunately, is a reality that too many people with a different ability face. In the United States, the unemployment rate for a person with a disability is twice the national average. But that only begins to tell the story. Only 1 in 5 people with the disability are employed. It's awful. But John here, he's a natural entrepreneur.
Yes, right.
You didn't see a job you wanted. What were you going to do?
I want to create one. I want to make one.
What'd you tell me?
I want to go a business with my dad, and nice fellas have been together.
So that's pretty cool. I've got 3 sons. John's the youngest. This is one I could work with. He's, Dad, let's go into business together. So, JM, I know you talk with a lot of entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurs have ideas all the time. Some of them are good ideas. So we had to come up with an idea for a business. What was one of those ideas?
One of them is a food truck. I have idea from the movie Chef, John Favreau. The movie about a father and son bonding a food truck.
So that sounded like fun. What would we make? Where would we put the food truck? We're working up these ideas, but we ran into a problem.
We can't cook.
Yeah, we can't cook. So, but then, right before Thanksgiving in the US, late November, you had your eureka moment.
I did. I want to sell crazy socks. Why socks? It's fun, it's colorful, it's creative. I will always let me be me.
John had worn these crazy socks his whole life. We used to drive around looking for them. So we figured this, if he loved them that much, surely other people did too, and we could find our tribe. So at that point, we eschewed the traditional business plan and we went the lean startup route. We said, let's just get something up and running and see how customers respond. So you already had the name.
Yep, I got him a name.
You wouldn't let me put my name in it. It's named after him.
Right, I come a name, I to a website, come on you.
We built a website on the Shopify platform. We got some inventory. We were bootstrapping. So you got to make do with what you have. So the only marketing we did was to set up a Facebook page, and I would take out my cell phone and we made videos. And who was in those videos?
I am Dad. I'm talking about socks. Socks, more socks.
We opened what day?
We opened on Friday, December 9th, 2016.
We didn't know what to expect. We got what felt like a flood of orders. We got 42 orders the first day. And most of them were local. We're in a town of Huntington on Long Island. You were in the high school, that's where we lived. We had temporary office space. So what did we decide to do with those first orders?
Our home deliveries, we get a red boxes like this one.
We put the socks in the box and we looked at it, said, it needs something else. So you wrote thank you notes.
I wrote thinking note and I put a candy, 100 kisses.
We got bags of these Hershey's Kisses.
Yes.
Filled up the boxes, loaded up the car, drove around, and you knocked on doors giving out socks.
I did, and the customer's response down. Customer took a picture and shared it on social media. A word I get a spread.
It was pretty wild.
Yeah.
We had people ordering again just to get John to come back to their door. And there were some nights, check this out, JM. It's 10 o'clock at night and he's knocking on doors. Just John with your socks.
I look at it and get shotgun.
So by the end of that month, really 2 weeks, we had shipped 452 orders and had 13,000 in revenue. And we said, we got something here. So we went from there to build the business. And we could talk about that, but we went from doing those home deliveries today. How many different sock choices do we have?
We have 4,000 different kinds of sock and mini choices.
Which means John owns the world's largest sock store. And we've now shipped over 375,000 packages to 88 different countries.
Right.
But if we get an order between our office and home,
I'm still doing home delivery.
he's still knocking on doors doing home delivery.
That's right, Dad.
So that's how we got started. You can see it was at a need. We took a chance. John had a vision, and we've worked to make it come true.
Well, I mean, I have chills because, look, the world needs more of what you and John are bringing. And John, the Hershey Kiss idea, I don't know anybody that wouldn't respond well to that. So that's brilliant, buddy. I love that. So if I'm doing the math, you said 2016, right? We started and we are 6 years in. So at a very early age of your early 20s, man, you have the largest sock store in the world. That is truly remarkable. Now, I guess my question is I think it's because you have an outside the box thinking, which I think is so unique, buddy. And we talk so often about having great sock game at business meetings. So I don't know if you heard those conversations somehow for years, but you absolutely nailed a great market. So tell me, what's your favorite part about running the business, John? What do you love the most about running your business?
The most I really like. My dad's laughing because I don't like pick favorites, and I tell you, I like I work.
Go ahead, answer the question. Come on
I'm
now.
going to. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I put my job in videos. I do. I like having out picking orders. Gift wrapping. I like to have interviews, podcasts. I like speaking engagement, home deliveries, design socks. I like
You like it all.
Yeah, I do.
You like it.
Yeah,
And you like working.
I do.
Here's an anecdote about John.
Go ahead.
We had helped out at a fundraiser for the Special Olympics. It was a young professionals mixer, mainly Wall Street types in Manhattan, at a very hot club. Everybody loved it. John went in, helped raise money. And we get home at 3 a.m. And I say, John, you haven't had a day off in ages. Just sleep in tomorrow. You work late, just take the day off, sleep in, relax. Okay.
I said okay. And
then I come to work the next day.
I came
At about 10 o'clock in the morning, who comes walking in the door? But John.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
I'm back to work.
I took an Uber to the office. I got things to do. It's so we're fortunate that way.
Yes.
I will tell you, everybody listening is going, I want that employee 100%. Somebody staying up till 3 a.m. You're at the office by 10. I know New York traffic isn't always ideal. So we're not talking a lot of sleep here, John. But you mentioned speaking, and I think you guys have done 2 TEDx talks, 2 TED Talks. Is that correct? Tell me a little bit about that. And then I do want to ask about the 5 pillars of your business as well. But let's talk about the TED Talk, because John, you mentioned you like public speaking. I'd love to hear about it, because I want people to go see what you guys are all about. I just think it's such a great story.
Well, when we talk about those 5 pillars, one of them is to show what people with different abilities can do. We can dive in on that. But one way we do that is by going and sharing the story and showing what our colleagues with different abilities can accomplish. So we do that through speaking engagements. So we've spoken pre-pandemic, we crisscrossed the US, Canada, Mexico.
Right.
We've spoken at 5,000 people at a Microsoft conference in Las Vegas. We've been to Palm Springs with EY. We spoke at to IBM and to Google and LinkedIn and then with the pandemic and we moved that online. So we've spoken around the world. We speak at a lot of universities. This morning we spoke at St. Joseph's College. It's all to go out and show, not just tell. Go out and show. So we were invited from 2 different organizers to give a TEDx talk. And the most recent one was on a pretty common theme for us, which is that hiring people with differing abilities is not altruism, it's good business. And we make the business argument for doing that. But we also do a lot of advocacy work. So we've testified twice before Congress. We've spoken at the United Nations, and that has spilled over. We've been very fortunate with a lot of media coverage. So, John, we've been on the CBS Evening News, ABC News, Good Morning America.
Yeah, I fucked with friends.
Fox and Friends have had you on a dozen times.
Yeah, my favorite, I'm going on PIX Channel 11.
Channel 11
I
local.
did get rid of.
And it's all part of the mission, right? I mean, one of the things that we hope will come of this, and that's why we're so grateful that you have us on the podcast, is that people hear the story and then they'll start to think differently about what somebody with Down syndrome can do, about somebody with autism can do. And in that little way, we change the world. And maybe there's an employer out there who's walking around saying, I can't find good workers. I can't find enough employees. And now maybe they'll stop and say, oh, what if I hired people with different abilities? And so that's why we do this. And we're very fortunate to get the opportunities we do.
Yeah, I think traditionally people, if you looked at a resume, maybe the grades didn't line up, or maybe the university, but we're talking about true human connection. We're talking about somebody that really puts in a lot of work ethic. We're talking about a caring individual. I'm guessing there's a lot more you can tell me about this. People with differing abilities, they just seem to have a genuine care and empathy and things that the modern world needs a little bit more of. Is that a fair statement?
It is, and we can share our experience. So we do our own fulfillment, right? If you sell online, you have to have a pick and pack warehouse. You can do it yourself or you can outsource it. We do our own, in part because we want to create jobs. So what do we call our pickers?
Sock wranglers.
Sock wranglers. And that's our entry level job. Over the years, we have drawn from 3 labor pools. And we schedule things in 4-hour shifts, in part to give everybody flexibility, gives us flexibility, but it also allows people with a different ability, if they're collecting benefits, to work within their benefit levels. Because if you earn too much, you lose your benefits. So 3 labor pools, people with different abilities, moms, we get some dads in there who want to put the kid on the bus in the morning, pick the kid up in the afternoon. And then laborers who, somebody looking for a $15 an hour job. By far, the best labor pool are people with different abilities. They want to be here. They're excited. They're focused. They care about what they're doing. There's no distractions. And so be clear, we don't pay less. We don't dumb down our standards. Everybody who works here, to get that sock wrangler job, you got to pass the sock wrangler test. Everybody who works here has earned that job. And that's part of the dignity. So here's 2 outcomes from it. We're very seasonal in our business. We do 40% of our sales in November and December. So we always have to hire extra people around the holidays. So on Long Island last year, there were newspaper articles about how employers just couldn't find workers. We had a surplus of applicants. We do, but what does it allow us to do? We do same-day shipping. We do better shipping than Amazon. Our accuracy rate is just under 100%. It's 99.6%. And that includes errors the post office makes that we don't make. So we're not talking about make work jobs. If you got to know us, you'd find out that John here is a very nice guy. I am not. If you're going to work with us, you got to produce. And those are some of the benefits we have. And here's the thing, and we've seen this here, but we've seen it at lots of other businesses. You would think that when you hire somebody with a different ability, that the benefits accrue to that person. Everybody benefits. Morale is up. Productivity is up. Retention is up. It helps you recruit. And it's not just us, right? We're a small business. You probably heard of this software company out of Redmond, Washington, called Microsoft. Well, they pick their heads up. They're in fierce competition to hire people with technical skills. They pick their heads up and say, a lot of people with autism have those technical skills. Why aren't we hiring them? Well, we could tell you, because maybe they didn't look you in the eye at the job interview, or maybe they didn't have a firm handshake, or maybe they didn't even want to shake your hand. Microsoft figured out that's our problem. So they changed their hiring process. So now they hire plenty of people with autism. And guess what? That gives them a competitive advantage. That's some of what we want people to see.
Well, you're clearly opening eyes. There's no doubt about it. And I mean, I have so many questions running through my brain. Like, 99% accuracy. If anybody knows the New York mail system, that's remarkable. Like, I don't know how you guys did that. Hey, John, I got to ask you, bud, do you get nervous when you're doing some of these speaking engagements? Because you're on huge worldwide platforms, man. Is that something you get nervous about, or how do you do?
No, I never get nervous. And I get to have a funny moment. I'm really funny. When I introduced that New York Knicks game.
Oh, right, the Knicks game, Madison Square Garden. I
made Madison Square Garden. My dad met his daughter, the Wolf Fisher.
We'll tell him we show up. The Knicks asked him to introduce a game.
Yeah.
So we show up before the game and we're hanging out courtside. Nobody's in the arena yet. The announcers start showing up. And yes, I got to meet my childhood hero, Walt Frazier. But one of the announcers, a guy named Al Trotwick, very nice guy, pulls John aside.
Yeah.
And he's giving you advice on how not to be nervous, how not to be anxious. I didn't have the heart to tell him, no, this is not a problem for John.
But I'm there. I'm in the court. I put spotlight on
They
me.
turn all the lights off, 22,000 people, a spotlight on you,
Right.
and you killed it.
I did that.
You brought 22,000 people to their feet. You liked that, didn't you?
I love it.
I mean, we're talking one of the greatest arenas ever on the planet Earth. You're courtside, Madison Square Garden. That's pretty remarkable, man. I got to tell you. Hey, guys, I want to know more about these pillars. So we talked about the first one. Show what people with different abilities, what they can do. What are some of the other ones, if you don't mind?
So part of it, we have a slightly different type of business model. It's a social enterprise. So we have both a social and a business purpose, and they feed off of each other. One doesn't exist without the other. If all we were doing was selling socks, he wouldn't be talking to us. At the same time, let's not get lost in the social, because, yes, we want to make money. John and I, we'd like to live indoors.
Right.
You got to pay that rent. So the 5 pillars: inspiration and hope.
Give it back. Find product you can love. Make it personal. Make it personal and make it a great place to work.
So let's start. I'll walk through them quickly. Make it a great place to work. If we're going to spread happiness with our customers and in the community, we have to start here. Our colleagues have to want to work here. They have to be happy. So they got to have a mission worthy of their commitment, and everybody has to know why their job matters. And you put people in a position to succeed, and you recognize what they do, and then stay the hell out of the way. Let people do their jobs. So we're very fortunate with the colleagues we have. They're making it personal. To this day, every package gets.
I get digging arrow and candy.
But we're always looking, and everybody here is looking for a way. How do you make that personal connection? And when you know what your purpose is, when you know what your values are, they become manifest in everything you do. So, here are 2 easy examples on that. If you call here, one of our happiness creators is going to answer the phone. We have no scripts. We don't time anything. They're human conversations. We're just going to help you. Right? Or here's another one. So we put candy in the packages. And I'll give you a quick humorous aside. We started with the Hershey's Kisses, right?
Yes.
And everybody loved that. Until we got the email from the woman in Florida saying, you may not want to send chocolate to the South. So what do we put in now?
I put a Skittles.
And if you're a candy company out there, we're looking for a partner. But one of our packers comes to us and says, we sell socks for diabetics, these high compression socks. And we're sending them the socks and we're sending them candy. What's wrong with that picture? So now we have a separate supply of sugar-free candy. And if you order diabetic socks, you get that. If we get an order from a military base, that's a different package. None of this is the proverbial rocket science. It's just paying attention. It's taking care of people. The fun products you can love, we got to know what we're about. So when we're looking what to sell, it's 3 criteria. Got to be fun. Got to spread happiness. And
I gotta be behind.
John's got to be behind it. He's got to approve it. So, here's an easy one. There are some great looking socks out there that have profane language on them, and we know they sell well. We're not selling those. John's not approving that.
Right.
But also, and this comes back to the social enterprise. At its core, we have to be a great business. We have to have great operations. The website has to be great. The selection has to be great. We got more than anybody else. The products have to be great. We have over 29,000 five-star reviews. 96% of our reviews are five-star reviews. The service has to be great. If we're not doing that, everything else falls apart. So, more Andrew Netter, our Lord of the Socks, who runs our warehouse and our fulfillment, he and his crew, what a great job they do. And because they do that, we're able to go do other things. And then there's giving back. So we started by pledging on day one, 5% of our earnings to the Special Olympics. And why the Special
I'm
Olympics?
an Olympic athlete.
And how long you been doing it? How old are you now?
I'm 26.
And when did you start with Special Olympics?
I played soccer when I was 5 years old.
So we've been doing it for 21 years. No Special Olympics would mean no John's Crazy Socks. So we're incredibly appreciative of that. But we've gone on to create products that raise awareness and celebrate causes and raise money for those causes. So what was the first awareness sock we created?
I Donald Trump awareness socks.
And who designed that?
I did.
You did. And it raises money for the National Down Syndrome Society. But now we have autism-themed socks and cerebral palsy and Williams syndrome and pet rescue and pediatric cancer socks. That it's more that they raise money and they shine a light on what people are doing and positive. We sponsor an Autism Can Do scholarship because we're so fortunate to get to do what we do that giving back has to be baked into everything we do. And then you come up to that most important pillar, inspiration and hope. It's showing what people with different abilities can do. And it starts with John. So you have Down syndrome.
Yes, I am.
We don't put John in the back. You're the face of the business.
Right.
We hire people, but it's more. And so we've been able to create 34 jobs. 22 of those are held by people with different abilities. But it's more than that. We create content all the time. I like to say no broccoli, nothing your mother says this is good for you. It's showing people as they are. Right? You like making TikTok videos.
I do.
Dancing and then we host tours and work groups. With the pandemic, we moved the tours online. We've had school groups around the world come. And here's what we're looking for. Here's one anecdote. A teacher called us up after coming in for a tour, said the next day, one of her students happened to have autism, came into the class and printed out a picture of him and John, gave it to the teacher and said, you see, I can do anything. And that's part of what we want to do. And then it's the speaking engagements and the podcast appearances and the advocacy work. And, now our mission is spread happiness. You look for ways to do that. We're not a threat to you, JM, but we now have our own podcast. What's it called?
A Spreading Happiness podcast with John and Mark.
Spreading Happiness podcast, 30 minutes a week of us bantering, bringing you up to date on what's going on with John. We tell some jokes,
Yes.
share some good news, bring people up to date on your love life.
Right now.
What do you host every Tuesday afternoon?
I host a dance party every Tuesday at 3 p.m. Eastern time.
An online dance party. You get 100 people dancing on Zoom.
Right.
It's great fun. So you roll all that together and you have John's Crazy Socks.
Well, guys, more companies need to hear this because I understand why you've talked to so many great companies because you're clear on who you are. Who doesn't want to be inspired? The entire world wants to be inspired. Spreading happiness, we need more of that. John, you've met some pretty big people out there. Like you kind of have a relationship with a president, if I'm not mistaken. Can you tell me a little bit more about that, bud?
Sure. I saw him wearing socks.
Well, which president?
I'm going to.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I insured to be first. I saw him wearing socks a newsletter, and I said I want to send him a box of socks, and
Well, we sent him some socks.
right.
And then his office called and said, the president loved that. Can we get more? We sent him more socks. And then what did he send you?
He sent me a socks and a letter.
He then sent socks to John. And then when one of the things he did was on World Down Syndrome Day back in 2018, he tweeted out a picture of him wearing John's Down syndrome superhero socks. You designed those, right?
I did, and he it's really cool that he tweeted out and to his friend on March 21st. Our day is 3/21. A day is a World Down Syndrome Day. He wanted those socks. I honored the World Down Syndrome Day. I wearing Christmas socks.
So here's a cool connection. President Bush signed the Americans with Disabilities Act.
Yeah.
That changed the world for millions of people, changed lives. John never would have gotten the education he got if not for that legislation. So there was a connection there. And then when Mrs. Bush passed away, when Barbara Bush passed away, his office called and said the president and the family want to wear socks to honor her commitment to literacy. So we sent some socks made by one of our suppliers, some book-themed socks.
Right.
And we knew he was going to happen. We didn't know it was going to happen. Well, on the day of her funeral, his only communication with the outside world was to tweet out a picture of him wearing those socks. And what we realized was the former president had become quite infirm, so he wasn't talking to the media. He was communicating with the world through his socks. And we turned those into tribute socks, and they raised money, and they've raised thousands of dollars for the Barbara Bush Family Literacy Foundation.
Yeah, guys, I already know because you've mentioned so many of these different organizations. My wife runs a nonprofit for cancer, so you're going to have several more customers, at least in the Ryerson household, coming your way, and I can't wait to see those. John, I'm also a former athlete. You're still an athlete. I'm a former athlete, I'll say. Talk to me about your what you do in the Special Olympics, bud. What's your favorite event?
I play basketball, track and field, soccer, and snowshoe.
You like that, huh?
I do.
You compete hard?
I did.
And how do you wear different socks for every event? You probably have, how many drawers full of socks for you personally do you have, man?
You got a lot of socks at home, right?
I do.
He came to me once and said, Dad, I got to get a new dresser just to hold my socks.
Hey, John, what do you think the biggest thing you want people to hear about, maybe a misconception about Down syndrome, something that people just don't realize? What do you think that you would like them to really know? And I'll focus just with Down syndrome to begin with, but one of the biggest misnomers is what I would say that people have about Down syndrome. What would you like people to know differently about it?
What do you say about Down syndrome?
I have Down syndrome. I have Down syndrome. Down syndrome. I never hold me back.
You know, what are some of the things that some of your friends with Down syndrome, like that you've met through the National Down Syndrome Society, what are some of them doing? They have their own businesses?
Yeah, they're on businesses. They're on entrepreneurs, and they have.
Or they met a bunch of actors.
Yep.
And models.
Yes.
Lobbyists.
Yes.
There's no limit on what somebody can do.
Buddy, you guys said it earlier in the show, and you talked about, we aren't just one thing. You're not just John, the crazy sock guy, and you're not just John, the athlete, and you're not John with Down syndrome. You have so many layers. And you know what I say, John, just so maybe you can use this? Labels are for boxes. They're not for people. So no longer should we label what we are. And I love that. Guys, I have so many questions. I think I want to just give you an opportunity to share whatever you want to share that I didn't know enough to ask, because I could ask questions, but I know you got a business to run, so I'm not going to keep you too long. What would you like to make sure that we share with the audience? Because you've already given so much value, but I want to give you that opportunity.
Well, I'll start because I don't want to have to follow you. We're always want people to see the possibilities, see what's possible. And that's, if you look to hire somebody or in a relationship or meet somebody, never be blinded by a person's limitations. Be awed by their possibilities. And I particularly want to talk to the entrepreneurs and the business owners out there to recognize the impact that you can have. It's entrepreneurs that can change the world. And look at that impact and the difference you're making. Know what you're about, know that purpose, and believe. Don't just pay lip service. Don't put some mission statement on the wall. Go and live it, and it'll be transformative. And you get advice for people?
I do. Follow your heart. Follow your dream. Work hard. So you can do.
Pretty good, buddy.
Amazing. Your dad's smart. You know why? Because he didn't follow that act, because you can't.
You want to promote us a bit?
Yeah, Dad.
Go ahead.
You can find us at Sean's Crazy Socks.com.
And when you buy from us, you're going to get great socks, but you become part of the experience. You help us hire people with different abilities. You help us give back. You help us with the advocacy work we do. And most of all, you help us spread happiness.
Yes, Dad.
And where else can people see you? You got your podcast?
I got a podcast. You can find us at the Spreading Happiness podcast with John and Mark.
All the usual platforms. And your dance party?
Yes. All the listeners, you always welcome on my dance party. Every Tuesday, I dance party at 3 p.m. Eastern time. Quite fun.
And all this is at our website, johnscrazysocks.com.
Well, John, I'm a guy that likes to dance, so I'm going to be on one of your 3 p.m.s, if as many as I can make, bud, because I have zero shame in my game, man. I am going to be dancing with you. I do have to ask you, spreading happiness, why is that so important to you, John? Because do you just wake up happy every single day? Because I need a little bit more of that in my life too. So do you just wake up and you're always happy?
Yeah, I'm always happy because I like to see everyone smile at their face and then change the world I haven't seen.
Well, you make people happy.
Yes.
But let's tell the truth.
Yes, Dad.
I've seen you in the morning. You're not necessarily a morning person.
Well, I will tell you this, both of you guys, you've spread a lot of happiness.
Yeah, I'm not one person.
All right. But why do you share with JM? What do you say happiness is all about?
It's all about gratitude and you for others.
Pretty easy rules to live by.
Absolutely.
You guys have so many good rules to live by. I cannot thank you enough for being here, you guys, doing what you're doing. I can't wait to get my crazy socks. And I live in Florida, so let's not do the chocolate thing. Skittles are great. I'll look forward to I have size 16. Do you guys have big socks for people?
We have, yes, as my friend Cliff would say, we have socks for regulation size people. We have king and XL size socks, right? I need them, or your oldest brother, he's 6'6", he needs them. We have a good selection. And plus, JM, we guarantee happiness. We send something, they don't fit, they don't work, we give you your money back, we send you more socks, there's no limit on it. We want people to be happy.
Well, you guys, seriously, I have a smile ear to ear. My cheeks actually kind of hurt a little bit from smiling so much. I thank you. Thank you for what you're doing. Thank you for being here. I know at least my listeners, guys, you go see these gentlemen. They're amazing. Next time I'm up in New York, I'm absolutely coming to the store. So I just thank you guys.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Wow. You guys are changing the world. Keep spreading happiness. Every one of my listeners, please go check out johnscrazysocks.com. Go check them out. Do the dance party. Really remarkable human beings. I mean, I'll say, like I always do to close the show, your mindset matters. Remember that. But I think they made it real clear for us. So until next week, guys, we'll talk to you then. Thank you so much for listening. If this content is delivering value to you, please make sure to subscribe, rate, and review us. That helps us build this community, and that is what we are all about. Building this community as big as we can, helping as many people as we can, and deliver as much value as possible. Be sure to head over to letsgowinpodcast.com for information on my coaching courses, and make sure to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn at Let's Go Win 365. Let's go win and transcend in life.
This is the Let's Go Win podcast with your host, J.M. Ryerson.